Hello everyone. I hope you're all having a good time. So in this video I'm going to teach you how you can use Git, which is a version control system, to track changes in your computer files. The other reason for using Git is it allows multiple people to coordinate in the same project, and you can view the project history line by line using this version control system. There are other version control systems like SVN, but these days Git is the most preferred version control system. The main workflow of working with Git is that you pull changes from the remote if other people have worked on the project after your last commit, after your last update to the project. You pull those changes, you work on the project, then you add the project, you add all the files, all the changes to a staging area, and then you commit those changes, and then you push those changes back to the remote repository. So now let's dive into our project to see how what this all means. So I'll close this and I'll go to my project directory, which is CalculatorApp, and I'll list my files here, and there are two. There's one file, and the other one is the folder CalculatorApp, which has got all my Swift and other files, resource files. So here, the first thing I need to do is to initialize the Git repository. So I'll say git init and initialize empty Git repository in this directory. So now my repository, local repository is initialized, and now I'll check the status of the repository. So for that I'll use this command git status, and it says that there are two things that are not tracked. One is this file, Xcode project file, and the other one is this folder CalculatorApp, which has got all the other files of the project. So here what I can do is I can add git add all the files. So either I can add a file like this, Xcode, and another one like this, like homeview.swift, and the remaining files one after the other. Or what the other thing I can do is add all the files at one time. For that I can use git add space dot, which means add all the files in the current directory, or dash a with a dash a keyword in between, but both the commands do the same thing. So I'll add all the files in the current directory using this command git space a add space dot. So now if I check the status again, git status, now previously it showed that all these files are untracked. Now it is saying that changes to be committed, that now they are added, new file, all these files new, they're added to the staging area. And for before we can push it to our remote repository, we have to commit the change, commit the we have to commit our staging area with a commit message, and the command for using that is git commit m and then the commit message. So commit the first, or what I can say to make it simple is first commit. This is my message, first commit. Or I can be more descriptive, push first. No, I think first commit is okay because we have not pushed it yet. So git commit, and there's one issue with this command, we don't need this dash over here. Git commit m first commit. So now our staging area is we have committed the staging area, and if for instance you forget to put this inverted commas at the end, and you press enter, you go into this editor type thing, and you can get out from it by pressing control command and C, control and C, sorry. So it's just something that I often get into, and it's handy if you know this. Control and C, you get out of this editor. So now I have made my first commit, and the next thing we need to do is push it to a remote repository. We don't have a remote repository yet, so we'll create one. We can create this in GitHub or Bitbucket or GitLab or any other version control Git providers. So in here, I'll start a new project and call it CalculatorApp. Uh, uh, Not so simple calculator app tutorial series. So we are not initializing with readme, and we create the project license. So in here, what we need to do is we need to go to this calculator app project, clone or download. From here, we copy this web address of this remote repository, and in here we say uh, git re- remote git add remote, and then the name of the repository, or I think it's the other way around, git remote add origin, and then the name of the repository. So with this command, git remote add origin, and then in the web URL of the repository, what we are saying here is that the current local repository points to this remote repository. So this remote keywords tells that this is that we're dealing with the remote repository, and this add keyword tells that our current uh, local repository points to the origin of the remote repository, which is located at this web address. So now what we can do is push our local repository onto the remote repository. So we say git push u origin and master. So we have an error here, and that error says that git failed to push some references to this repository. Updates were rejected because the remote contains work that you do not have locally. This is usually caused by another repository pushing to the same reference. You may want to first integrate the remote changes, for example git pull, before pushing again. So it says that we need to do git pull, but why does it say to uh, uh, is to say is why does it ask us to pull the remote repository? That's because we added this license file to the remote repository. If we had not added this license file, this error would not have come. So now we'll say git pull here, and then we'll get this license file first. Uh, Git pull origin and master. And now like now we are merging the remote repository to our local repository, and we are in the editor for the commit message, and the editor is vim, we can see from here. And to uh, write changes to the file using vim, what you need to do is press colon and then w for write which means save, and then Q for quit, and then it says that master is locally pulled. So now what we can do is push the all of push our directory, the local repository, to the master. Yeah, and check the status again. On branch master, your branch is up to date with origin master. So our local branch is up to date with our remote branch. Let's check this calculator app to see if we have got all our project files. Yes, we have got all our project files. Here is our commit message. The other things we need to do, we can do with this workflow is, like, for example, now if we go to the project and in here I'll add some comments, like properties, and in here we're making dealing with view appearance. This mark keyword from here till here organizes the project. I'll show you in a while. So if you click over here, now I have got properties, and below this properties I'll have all my properties listed here, so I can directly go from here to here, and I can click here. If I have a long file, it's easier to organize this, organize your file using these mark keywords. So I can quickly go to this section of the file, view appearance. So now I've changed the home view controller file, and now if I check the status, it says two project files are modified. So what I will say now again is uh, what we can also check the difference of our current project from our last commit using git diff head. So head is the most recent head is your most recent commit. So we're checking our changes from our most recent commit, which was initial commit, first commit. So it says that these two lines are added, this empty line and this mark properties line, and this empty line and this mark properties lines. If he had removed a line in the file, this plus would be negative. So that would have a negative in front of it. So we'll quit from here, and we'll add git add. We can also use wildcard static to add all files of all extensions. So now if we check the status, it has this file has been added, but this file was not added. So we can say git add all, and then all the files are added. I don't know why the static I think this static works, but this extensions you have to specify. So now we can add a commit message using this command. What we have changed, organize home view controller file. So we did this in the past, so ideally it should be organized home view controller file, but this is standard to use present tense to write your commit messages. So now check the status again, and we have everything already committed. So we need to push this commit, and for that previously we did git push u origin master, but this u means that the next time if we are going to push this, we don't need to specify this. So this time we'll just say git push. First time you have to run the entire command with u origin master, but the next time you don't need to write the later part. So now what we have achieved so far is that we have pushed two commits. First one was the first commit, and the second one is organize home view controller file. So in when you're working with other developers, you usually work on a number of branches. So what branches are is that branches are independent uh, projects. They're independent in the sense that you can work in a feature branch and later on merge that feature branch into your develop branch. Now, what is a develop branch and what is a feature branch and what is a master branch? Initially, when we create the project, we are in the master branch and we put that push that master branch onto the remote. Now we will create another branch and then push that branch onto the remote, and later on we'll merge that branch onto master. So if we have two or more developers, they usually work on their own branches, and then the project organizer or the project admin merges those branches onto the develop branch, and then before publishing it to whatever store or whatever you are publishing, you merge the develop branch onto the master, and then publish that master. This is the general workflow of working with Git. It varies from team to teams, and there are a number of patterns or workflows people use for working with Git.